1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Why 5?
Why?
Oh my god.
Okay, on 3. On 3. We didn't say on what. Yeah, maybe Ondrej, you introduce yourself to the listeners.
Did you introduce even who are we and why are we here, or are we going immediately?
Yeah, why are you here? That's my question. That's what the listeners will ask. Why are you here on that podcast? And why do we start that thing?
That's a great question. Right, so I'm Ondrej, Ondrej. I'm a UX designer working for IBM Design currently in IBM studios in Austin, Texas. I work with Sammy in Germany at IBM, and I'm from Slovakia. And I don't know, we're gonna carry on. What you are? Tell us something about yourself, man.
I'm Sammy, as you spelled your name Sammy.
Like the sandwiches, right?
Yeah, like the sandwiches.
Tell us the story.
Yeah.
How you get your name?
With the sandwiches? No, I
Yeah.
don't tell the story with the sandwiches yet. That's a little nugget the listeners maybe get at the end of the episode. So yeah, I'm also a UX designer working for IBM, but not in the US like Ondrej. I'm working in a small town next to Stuttgart for the IBM Studio Bubbling. And besides that, I co-founded a small software startup called Thanks in 2016, which I still run as a CEO with 2 other people, developers. And yeah, we produce cool stuff on the net, I would say.
You sound so clever. I sound like nobody.
You
I'm
sound
a
like
CEO
nobody.
of my
I
life.
didn't thought that.
Jesus Christ, nice.
Jesus. Okay. Yeah. So should we tell the listeners why we start that podcast and what
Yeah,
it's
exactly, Sammy. You should tell us because you wanted to start this.
I wanted to start it. Yeah. I basically had no choice.
Yeah.
So I thought, yeah, as we are both doing a lot of things in our spare time, and still working full time for a major corporation, we could talk about how we manage to run those projects on the side. What are some challenges with those? And yeah, basically what life is if you're doing a full-time job and a lot of things on the side. That's my thinking behind it.
Yeah, that sounds good because
Honestly.
like we used to have these calls every now and then with Sammy, and we were all the time. I was showing him my projects, and he showed me his projects, and we were giving each other like good UX feedback, and we were pushing each other like to other limits and stuff like that. So we feel like our discussions might be worth sharing with other people, and so on. So let's see. I think both of us have some kind of, I wouldn't say something, a lot of experience in different side projects. So it's definitely going to be a good start. Yeah, probably some more now. Yeah.
It felt like the same kind of topics were popping up all the time in our bi-weekly calls, I would say. So yeah, let's unveil the title with a little drum roll.
Yeah.
I look like a douchebag doing this.
So what is it?
What's the name?
I don't even remember.
The title of the podcast will be the first question for our interview. Hey, Ondrej, what are you working on?
Oh, gee. That's a great question. I mean, there are so many things that I'm working on right now. It's kind of crazy. Yeah, we can talk about my brother's racing thingy. So just to give like a quick introduction, my brother, his name is Mateo Homola. So he started racing 10 years ago, and I was helping him with websites, social media, and so on. So as he has been progressing as a race driver, I've been growing as a designer, and we managed to basically give him a seat, or he got a seat in the World Touring Car Championship for this year, the WTCR, which is a great thing. And so for announcing this, basically his entry to the top league, we had to basically create an experience for our social media fans on Facebook, right? So the challenge which we had was that we are basically a family-run motorsport team, so we don't have any other company helping us with this. So we all together had to, I guess, put together social media marketing proposal, or like everything that we're doing, how we are promoting this whole thing. And so what was the challenge was that I'm 7 hours somewhere else, so I'm in a different time zone. So that was kind of funny. And then plus, I would even say my father is like the biggest CEO in the world. He's like super strict on everything. He wouldn't really, he has his ideas, and that's what we have to do. So I kind of had to use my IBM techniques how to convince him like in the direction where we are going. So how did I solve, for instance, the first problem with like the different time zones? I made sure that everyone is on Google Drive and we are in same Google spreadsheet, and that's what we use for the main communication. So that was one of the biggest challenges. Maybe it's not
Okay.
that great to talk about, but I mean, it was like a challenge. Like, hey, look, you have 80,000 fans on Facebook. You have all the social, well, the like not social media. You have the TV, radio, newspapers. Everyone is looking at us and waiting to actually reveal what my brother is going to race with. So we really had to time everything correctly, and we really had to make sure we'll not leak any information before. And all the press articles, everything had to be not double checked, like triple checked by all 1,000 people just to make sure everything is perfect.
By 1,000 people?
Yeah, so we were like,
What do you mean by that?
let's say our media guy would write the press article, then I would give it to my dad to read it, then I would read it, then I would put it on a MailChimp. I would say send a testing email just to see, if they're okay with that, and then we had to check it again, and from testing email we had to change it number of times, even though the people read it before. When you read it in the medium you're gonna receive it in, like it's on your mobile phone, you're gonna get some other ideas how this can be improved.
Okay.
So
So what were some things? Yeah, I find this interesting because that sounds like you did a lot of copy changes and like a lot of
yeah.
iterations,
Mm-hmm.
but there were no consumers of that final thing involved in the process. Am I right?
At the moment, basically no, because yeah, exactly, because it was something that nobody knew about. It was only our racing team and people involved, our own brother, and we didn't want to leak the information anywhere else. So at this point, we did not ask any users or any of my brother's
Okay.
fans or
So
something like that,
why did you do so many iterations on that text?
because we just wanted to sound like perfect. So everything, it's also about the grammar, right? So if the grammar sounds right, the tone sounds right, and if the whole article, which had around, I think it was like 1/2 page, so it has all the important information in it.
What was the message you wanted to transport with that?
The message we want to transport is that it's an exciting thing that after 10 years, my brother is getting into the world championship. He's going to be the first Slovak representing such a small country. So it's a great thing for Slovak motorsport. And then we want to reveal with which team he's driving with and which car is he going to be. But the main thing was probably it took us 10 years to get there. So like, go-karts, smaller cars, like something more advanced, European Touring Car Championship, then international series and stuff like that. We just described the story how we got there also. That was
And what was the reaction on it afterwards? Was it successful? Was it the intended outcome?
So yeah, it was definitely successful. The thing is, what we realized wasn't only just this press article. So we had social media posts, we had a Facebook live video, we had a Facebook event. There were a bunch of I would say journalists at the press conference. So all of that all together worked super well. What happened is that basically our press articles were written. This press article, I think, was written pretty well. So it was just taken by the news agencies and they just pasted it on their website. So without needing to go in and change the information there or some text, they just used it. So I think that's perfect. So in this case, the user, the consumer of this is actually our fan on Facebook. But we gotta understand that the user of this is also the guy who gets an email and posts it on the website, right? So what we try to do is to make something simple for them so they just take it and use it, right? Because you might write a press article which doesn't make any sense, it doesn't have enough explanation, enough details, and then the problem is that then the person has to find this information and put it in, and it takes time, and what might happen is they might not really post on their website, so...
Sounds awesome.
Yeah.
Must have been a great experience to do something like this. I've never done something like copy press release changes and like rolling it out with such a big burden on it of releasing something which should not be leaked before.
It's it was fun time, I would say. I
Mm.
really enjoyed it. I always like to help my brother, and it's always a responsibility because I mean, at the end of the day, I'm the one who sends the press release. So we use MailChimp for that, those kind of things, which makes things way easier. But you're the one who has to press the button send. And imagine if
Mhm.
you send it with the wrong sponsors, right? My father
Mhm.
would freak out. He would kill me on spot. Like imagine if some link doesn't work, or if the image doesn't load, or if you some people don't resize the images, so the image would have 3 MB. So imagine your email now has like 9 MB, and nobody's going to be able to open it. So you really have to be careful when you are sending emails to. I mean, our mail list has around 200 media companies and sponsors within Slovakia, which is pretty big for Slovakia. And then we have some number for also English users. So yeah, you really have to be careful, and especially with the English ones, because they have to translate everything from Slovak to English. So um, that was also fun time. Yeah.
So, what is the long-term thing you are getting out of this? Is it like more ticket sales or more awareness, and how do you measure that?
Oh, sure. So basically, the thing with which you want to get is basically more awareness, right? So more people know. The first idea was like everybody who knows about my brother or who have heard about my brother will know that he's driving in this new series and he's driving with this new car. In terms of measuring things, well, it's kind of difficult to measure it, but I think on one of the posts on Facebook we had around 2,000 likes, and there was a big reach, but I didn't really check the details of how many people have seen that. We also promoted or sponsored those posts so they are visible for as many people as we can. I guess we never had a goal like, all right, okay, 10,000 people have to click and say like on this photo, right? It was just like we want to spread the word as much as we can, by doing like using all social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and then Insta stories, Facebook live videos, emails, and basically everything. Yeah.
How do you measure it on a long term? And can you even? Because it sounds to me like you did this marketing stunt, I would say, or press release. But yeah, and with this, you can measure how many people saw this, but
Mm-hmm.
you cannot measure beyond. Am I right?
Yeah, you can measure who's seen it and they commented on it, so there was some interaction, but that's basically it.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And this is, yeah, is this information helpful? Do you think? Because I expect this has a long term goal, and because you are not getting anything out of it, only that people see it, they must
Yeah.
take action on it. And what is this action? It is that they come to his races, or
All right. Yeah. So
how does
basically,
it work?
basically the idea is like we would like them to, if the race is close enough to Slovakia, they would come over and see it. Or if it's not, then they would watching the TV. So they will be ready for every single race, so they can watch the TV, and see the race live. That's
Hmm.
basically that's part with the fans, for example, right? And then we have another part like about sponsors. So as much as if we are promoting our content and many people see it, then we might hit a potential sponsor, right? Who might see this post like, oh yeah, we wanted to promote our new, I don't know, energy drink, right? And this
Hmm.
guy has like so many fans, he has so many likes, and he's in TV, radio, and everywhere. Like we could like reach out to him and like have him help us to grow in the world. So um yeah, but we are not really measuring is like how many sponsors could see it and stuff like that. It's all kind
Yeah.
of like hit and miss. You just like throw it all outside and you see what happens with it.
Hmm.
um
Yeah. 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 That's basically my understanding too, because I would like to know all the details and things like this, but it's basically not possible to measure all of the things you're putting out there and like attach it to everything that is happening afterwards.
yeah, yeah.
Like what sponsor jumps on it, you can't tell, and how he found it. Maybe if he tells you later, I saw that post on Facebook and that got me interested
Mm-hmm.
in it. But there's
Exactly,
no
yeah.
way that you like can measure the whole chain to the end action. I was also thinking about
Mm-hmm.
how could you measure if they are actually sitting in front of the TV, and do you get any feedback on that? Like, is it that the TV channel tells you later, oh, there were so many Slovakians watching your brother?
Mm-hmm.
Is it, do you get some kind of that feedback, or?
I think we never really asked for that, but we could definitely get some numbers like how many people probably watch the sports news in the
Yeah.
evening. But See, it's a very good question. We never thought about measuring stuff. It feels like all these like social media promotion. It's more like you have a machine gun and you just like throw bullets everywhere, and like some people gonna get the message, some people won't. And the point is that we should just. I mean, this is a very bad example. I'm sorry for that, but we should just like hit as many people as we can with the message. So
Oh, totally get that.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
yeah. But yeah, then to your beginning where you started, you said you had so many iterations on the text.
Yeah.
And that's the thing I'm then asking, is it because you did so many iterations, you wasted you spend a whole not wasted, you spend a whole lot of time on that.
Sure.
And how could you ever tell that if you can measure the whole thing and up to the final goal intent you have with this action, that you say it was worth it?
Right. I guess in some cases you don't really think about how much time you spend because you have to be professional and actually look in every single detail, like in this press release, for example. So we were not really like bothered by time. We were like, this has to be perfect, otherwise we are not gonna able
But
to
how
make
do
it.
you how can you tell that it was perfect? That's my question.
So how? Well, imagine that the thing that happened is basically many of these websites, they just took the article we sent them, they published it, right?
Okay,
So
that's one thing. Yeah,
that's important.
that's one thing
Yeah.
I got. Okay, if this
So
was the only intent, then it's fine.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
but
was
I thought there's more to it.
yeah. I mean, this was not the only channel we were sending the data through. So they might have got the information also from Facebook, and they mix it all together. But yeah, I mean, like our success measure in this case is like, all right, so they seen the article, they used it, perfect. If they changed it, even better. It doesn't matter if they changed it. But I mean, if you see it somewhere, it's like perfect. It worked well. So that's the idea. Yeah. If you would write an article within 20 minutes with grammar mistakes that wouldn't make any sense, then we would look bad in the eyes of the press companies, and they would not really like to publish our things anymore in the future. So
Yeah. Okay.
yeah.
Totally got that. Perfect.
Yeah.
But that's actually that can lead to a next topic.
Uh-huh.
And I'm referring to that blog article you are currently writing about, which you will probably publish on Medium, about getting awareness about you as a designer, and how to do that with side projects or mini projects you've did, or your student projects from university, because oftentimes in your article you refer then that people are oftentimes, especially designers, they do these cool projects and then they never shown to the public and they never get something out of it besides a cool grade in university, and there's so much potential. And I want you to speak a little bit to this, because I think it's perfectly matching that topic before where you say, okay, how can we measure those kind of things we're putting out there, and how do we know that it was successful putting it out?
Okay, I think that makes sense. So what I notice is like when we do hiring, right? You do the same at IBM. So when we recruit people, we look at their portfolios, and sometimes you're like, this is such a good project, and I wonder why I haven't never heard of it before. So you sometimes like go further and you Google the project, and then you realize, hey, the person really just put on their website, and that's it. I mean, that's the end of the story. And that makes me wonder is why we sometimes as UX designers, we can't really think in marketing terms, like how we can promote the content, right? Of the project. So that's a post I'm writing on Medium about, and it's about basically if you create something cool, just make sure you think about the marketing perspective of it and social media. It's like, how can you promote it outside? So what happens is some other companies might reach out to you and they're like, hey, this was a cool project, we want you to work for us, and you didn't even have to do anything for it. But your question is about like how do we measure some such stuff, right? I think it's kind of with the social media, it's very tricky how they measure things. It's like you never know how big it can be, for example. So as an example, I can tell about my website, the PorscheEvolution.com. This was a parallax scrolling website with like an experience of, what is it like to. It was an experience about Porsche cars with the music from that time. And I think I did a good job as a designer to design that experience, and I coded it myself. So it was kind of okay. And I was kind of proud of it, but the code wasn't really good. But anyway, I posted on the website called awards, AWW, I don't know how many W's are there, .com. and I posted there thinking like, hey, this is gonna be a nice, not nice, a very good way how to promote my website, but I had no clue how is it gonna go, right? So when you apply for these prizes or awards, you are hoping to get the most of it. So what I was thinking is I might win a website of the day, which would mean I will be featured on the website of the day, uh, on their website, and I will be printing, like they print the book every year, and every day has one page, and that will be your name with your basically thumbnail of your website and stuff like that. So basically, I had no hopes. I had no idea where is this gonna go. I really posted there, and I hope for the best, but you never know. So what happened is right after that, um, I got there were people are voting like if they like the website and stuff like that, and they're voting for the best website of the day. But I guess because it was just before Christmas, there was a Christmas theme. Maybe I took a wrong time to post it, but never mind. I got just like honorable mention, like a certificate and sticker you can put on your website. But that still dragged a lot of attention, and I guess that's when I started to measure the success of the website. But that was mostly done by I had like these Twitter and Facebook links or like buttons on my page. So when you like the page, you could click on the Twitter button, and they'll automatically pre-fill the Twitter for you. And so the people would just tweet the same thing which I tell them to tweet, basically.
And they did.
And they did. And there were some people who added something before it or after it. And I was like, yeah, cool. So people like it. So I was getting finally the feedback from the users, and I could measure like, hey, this many people were on the website, because like to be honest, like I think this is kind of good successful project. I had like 140,000 people on the website within. Now I'm gonna lie. I don't know if it's 3 or 4 years. I'm kind of lost right now. So let's say it's 3 years, right? So there was like a good thing, and then I had a number of people on Twitter posting about it, and then
Did it finally catch attention of the companies you wanted to like get to know you?
So I guess so. Like the thing was that I really wanted to get to Porsche, right? So what I did is I did this website. I did the social media stuff. I did this awards.com, and when I published everything out, people started tweeting about it. Other companies or websites started to say, "Hey, this is one of the best examples of parallax scrolling in 2016, 15, even 17." And so I was getting this exposure suddenly out of nowhere. So my goal was to get to Porsche. In combination of me reaching out to them, like, hey, this is the website I created, guys. What about we have a chat about some opportunities at Porsche?
Did you reference the users which were speaking about your website?
See, at that time I didn't. I should have.
Yeah, you should have. That's what I expected you to do.
See, this was like very early. Like I posted the website in December, like just before Christmas, and then I got the honorable mention for the website, and suddenly I got from like 2 people on the website to 100, 200, 300 people every day, which was great. And then I was kind of I didn't really think about it too much, but now when I think about it, like after this time, I would definitely use the feedback from users. Like, hey, so many people liked it. These are the stats. Let's have a chat. At that time, I was more like, oh, I did this. I want to work for you guys. So I wouldn't even wait for the feedback from outside of the world. I got good feedback from people from my circle, but sure, I could have waited from like much longer for the other social media stuff. But yeah, so what happened at the end? So I won some other small awards and like mentions in other articles, which was cool. Funny, I got so many requests like, oh, can you build this website for me? Like, we need this for some Bluetooth company, I was like, what the heck? Like, can we do this for you and those guys? I was like, guys, I don't have time for that. But like, I really appreciate it. And then I got email from Porsche saying, hey, we want to have an interview with you. So I was like, fuck yeah. I was like, awesome. Like, this worked. Basically, at the time when I was supposed to have an interview, I got the offer from IBM. And so I kind of decided not to go further with Porsche, because I feel like with IBM I can grow further with the design thinking. And we went for 3 months to Austin for the training. So I was like, that's probably a better opportunity for me than working in Porsche, and I can come back to Porsche probably later. So it it worked, I would say.
Yeah,
So my
perfect.
success,
Otherwise, this
yeah,
podcast wouldn't exist. We would never have met, and yeah,
yeah, exactly, yeah. And it's, the
perfect.
fun thing is like one of the studio leaders in Germany is in the car, so he asked me something about the Porsche website because he himself has a Porsche. So I think even though this Porsche project wasn't really IBM project, this was one of the
Hmm.
topics we talked about during my interview. So I mean, when you do your own projects, that's the time when you can really put your heart in it. Like you don't have any other stakeholders, so you're like, I'll just do my best, best shot. I'll like do what I like to do. Because whenever you work with some other people, you have to ask for permissions and like there are some constraints. But when you do it on your own, you can do really anything you want to. So I think these portfolio projects, when we screen people, are like very important because then you see what the people like and what are they like when they have no constraints. So that's important as well as working in the companies where you have constraints because in both,
Yeah,
but it's interesting
yeah,
to see the perspective.
yeah. It's interesting. It tells you so much about the people
Yeah.
and how they are working and what their point of view oftentimes is.
Mm-hmm.
Because in a team project, you don't necessarily see what their contribution is, and if they do things on the side and especially on their own, you can tell so much about the person behind it
Mm-hmm.
by looking at those stuff. Yeah, I really like that.
All right, Sammy. So it feels like I talked a lot about my projects. I wasn't really ready to talk about them too much, but it was kind of cool. But I'm wondering what you are working on. Like, what's your current thing?
Yeah. So, yeah, a lot of things are going on right now. Like
Mm-hmm.
that podcast is a thing I'm
Yeah.
working on with you.
Uh-huh.
Uh, I basically reached out to you and said like I want to do a podcast and I need someone who holds me responsible in terms of I have a counterpart, a punching ball, where I can say, okay, we do that thing, and then I have some responsibility
Yeah.
to actually do it. So
Yeah.
that's one thing, and then one of my goals for 2018 was to get started on a book I
Mm-hmm.
thought about writing since last year, and it is based on my master's thesis, which is about personalized user experience and the field
Okay.
of user interfaces that adapt to you as a user in your context of use.
Right. So how does
Yeah.
the book differ from what you have been working on your master thesis?
Right now, it's still the text in the master thesis, but my master thesis was written in a way because I'm not a good scientific writer.
Uh-huh.
So I always write things in a way which sounds more book like and more
Mm-hmm.
consumable.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, that's the feedback I got from this thing. And people told me make a book out of it because I've read it. So people were reading my thesis because it was so easy to consume and not another scientific paper,
Okay.
which was hard to get into.
Gotcha.
So that
And you
was the
write.
feedback I got. And I was like, okay, maybe there is something. Maybe I should look into it and make it
Mm-hmm.
more consumable again and bring in some new thoughts and actually expand it a little bit,
Uh-huh.
to make it a whole book on that topic, because there's literature also missing on that topic
Sure.
right now.
This is pretty cool because I didn't even know that it's coming out of your master thesis. So do you want to talk about some of the points, like some high level points, at least from the first chapter? Because I've seen it on your website that you start with the first
Yeah,
chapter.
yeah, I can do that. So,
Yeah.
basically, it is on the idea that if we have in the future interfaces which are machine learning and um, supported with technology which fits into the field of artificial intelligence, neural networks, natural language processing, and stuff like this, those interfaces will get so flexible
Mm-hmm.
that they can adapt over time to you as a user to better fit your needs.
Right.
And this is already starting today, but this is a new kind of interface that designers are not learned yet to design.
So give us an
And
example,
so
like something that
something is, for example, if you open up Waze, I'm a user of Waze for navigation on my
Yup.
smartphone.
Me too.
It automatic, yeah, it's a good app. I like it more than Google Maps. No offense, Google
Yeah.
Maps here. It automatically tells you if I'm leaving in the morning. It automatically sets the navigation without even me. It asked me to. It gives me a choice to cancel it, but if I not react within 5 seconds or something, it starts the navigation for that I'm driving to work. And so this thing does the action for me, and I have to do less thing. This is like, it's really early.
Yeah.
This is a small example to illustrate that behavior. And there will be a time when this will be much further expanded. And so applications can do much more things. And so my book will try to answer basic questions about what is adaptivity actually. And then basically the whole book answers the questions: how might we find proper rules to describe, decide for, and manage adaptation in user interfaces? Because my hypothesis was that there will be other rules for a designer if it comes to those interfaces than to static interfaces, which were designed by the designer and then crafted, and they stayed like this and were not flexible and not changing over time. And so the thesis answers who should adapt, and with this gives a shared language for the level of adaptivity. So what is the spectrum we are talking about? What are the things? And then which kind of data can be used in these applications for adaptation. So I categorize a data collection model and give some methods on how to find those different bits and pieces and use it in your design process already.
Okay, so it sounds like this is an exciting topic to talk about, and I'm kind of curious to see like where this goes further, because that's an area I'd like to be in future, probably in self-driving cars. And that's all about this kind of topic which you're talking about. So if I sit in a car which I don't even own, it's like an Uber that comes for me, I sit inside, it should really adapt to my personal needs. So you should know that it's me. It's probably going to give me the music from my Spotify or my, whatever. It's going to give me to where I want to be. So it's kind of interesting. I'm kind of wondering, Sammy, are you planning to release this as a book or ebook, or it's more like a guide or kind of like tutorial? Because I'm thinking, if it's just like a text, it might be, it's just like, it might be a good thing for like university research and for some designers to read. But I was thinking if it has like some real examples, like designs within it, or like your kind of ideas, what it could be like, that might help out to people to illustrate this whole situation better.
Yeah, it's definitely not a textbook. So if you go to my website, personalized -ux dot, then my first name and my last name, SCHUCKERT.de, there you can read the whole book already. So it's already out there. It has a lot of illustrations, a lot of things which are described verbally and visually, and also a lot of examples at the end, especially in the fourth chapter, where I talk about the strategies, how to reach some goals I've described, which these adaptive interfaces should reach. And so there you find a lot of real world examples of software which already use those kind of patterns. And that's what's also a part of this book, to identify some kinds of patterns and strategies that are already out there, and some kind of best practice, I would say.
Gotcha. So this makes me kind of wonder, it's like, all right, so you're going to have the book and you're going to do your best to sell it somewhere somehow. Maybe you will not sell it for money, but you're going to try to push it to maybe universities or some places so other people can read it. Are you thinking about like creating some of these like personalized UX interfaces yourself, or like something is like, I wrote this book, I have opinion on this, and this is what I'm kind of proposing for something?
Yeah, I would like in the future. This is something where not a lot of companies have the ability to do and to implement things like this. So I expect IBM to be one of those companies who can do. But yeah, you have to see how it fits. So it is not said with that this will be a thing in the future, that it's also a good thing for your product. And that's also something I question in my book in the beginning when I describe adaptivity of user interfaces, about, is it actually a thing for your project and for your product? Does it actually enhance the user experience? So that's a thing I
All
question.
right, so I guess
Yeah.
people will read it in your books, and we're not gonna talk about it, right? Um, but yeah, this is cool. I'm really surprised. Like I went there when you started writing the draft, the website, and now I'm just browsing through it. It's like a lot of content in it. Good job, man.
Yeah,
It's
thank
great,
you.
yeah. And this is another perspective. Like when you talk about the social media and the promotion stuff, man, you created a master thesis. I think you posted on your website, right, on your portfolio before. Um, but that's basically it. But now you are taking the same content and fixing it and making it better and more readable, and you are making sort of a website with it for like and maybe a book after it, right? So that's about you created something, you're proud of it, and now you're finding a way how you can promote it so other people will read about it, and your name is gonna spread around the world. So then people, when they Google your name or they Google this adaptive design, it's gonna be connected to you. So I feel like by doing this, you are then becoming one of the leaders in the market or like influencers.
Yeah. And that's actually the one of the strategies I have with this book, to say, okay, I can there's this niche where I have expertise because I worked like half a year on it really in depth and did nothing else the whole day to write this thesis, and it's really scientific based with this, and so created this piece, and it was for 1 year. This I just recently released it, and my thesis was handed in a year ago,
Mm-hmm.
so it was staying there for a year. The knowledge was like not accessible for everyone, and I
Yeah,
felt like that's not a good way to do it.
yeah,
It should be made accessible for everyone. And
yeah.
also, I host this whole thing, that whole book, the draft, on GitHub. So it's all open out there, and
Mm-hmm.
people can actually jump into the markdown files
Mm-hmm.
of the website I have there and edit things.
Mm-hmm.
And I can then see it and can take these suggestions
Sure.
into the final piece or not, and can have a discussion around it.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
I really want to try to do a crowdsourced writing process on
Uh-huh.
here.
Okay, that sounds pretty exciting. How you gonna basically get your users to add their thoughts into this?
Yeah.
Um, I really like the idea. I mean, like
It
sometimes,
should not be
yeah.
it should not be like that they only can comment on things,
Mm-hmm.
because that's like if I would have put up a website
Mm-hmm.
and posted on social media, and then I have all these fragments somewhere where people say their opinion and comment on things, and I have to collect everything, and it's not like in there. And so they really feel also like they can really contribute because they can write in that thing actually.
Sure. Yeah, yeah. I like that idea. I mean, it's gonna be an interesting challenge for you then to put the feedback inside of it, because now it's really kind of, in a book kind of form where we are quoting other people. Now somebody's gonna try to decide, try to like write something to it. But I think you're gonna. It's a good idea. It's way better than having comments on the bottom of the page, and this might bring you some more, some more attraction, or I would say more attention from other people, because you might even have some professors who did some research on this and like, hey, I want to put this part in your book about this. I agree with this. I don't agree with that. These are my thoughts. Do you want to put it in?
Yeah.
Yes, no.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
if you,
That's something
yeah,
that's possible right now with my approach.
yeah,
One thing I'm recently thinking about is also putting the whole thing, because now it's really easy because I brought it in a format where I just can copy paste stuff because it's all plain text, and so putting it on a Google Doc, because with GitHub there's still this barrier for people which are not that technical to get into, and so maybe I have it in two places because at the end I have to merge it anyway. And so maybe I find something which is more accessible for a kind of collaborative crowdsourced writing
sure,
style,
yeah.
which could be Google Docs, for example.
You could have it in Google Docs, but then people have to log into Google. I was thinking maybe then that could be a good thing, because then you see who made the changes. I'm kind of thinking
but
like
they can also do it
anonymous, yeah,
anonymously.
Sure.
Yeah.
It would be interesting if we had this button on the website, like the version that I wrote and the version that you guys wrote, right? And so like you just on this, I'm already thinking what it would look like. You would have the toggle button, so you click on the other one, and this would be basically almost everything would be almost like a free editor. So like people would be
Yeah.
able to change everything, like the stuff immediately right there, which could be a good thing or an evil thing when somebody decides to delete everything immediately. So, but yeah, this is a
Yeah,
good,
you can recover it easily. There's a history. You see
Yeah.
which people did the changes.
Yeah, yeah.
That's also something in on GitHub. The people who are editing something, it's set in stone, and their name is right next to it. So
See, I was more thinking about not using GitHub, or you can use a GitHub background and not using Google Drive, but Google or Google Docs, but using that experience on your website. So when I would, let's say, come to the principles of adaptive design, I can, by clicking on something, start editing it right on your page. So it would be
that would be the ideal case. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Past MVP.
Yeah. So yeah, I think for now I will go with I by now I go with the GitHub approach, but I think people have this kind of barrier there. So I will, if I find some spare time in the next couple of days, I will put it also on Google Docs so people can start editing it.
Yeah. It's a good point because developers will have an idea how to use it, and some designers probably will, but that's it probably.
Yeah.
So if you
Not
might
all
have
the
some
people.
professors, then all the people, like, they would not know probably. Yeah.
But it's also an experiment. I've never done this before. I basically stole that kind of concept from someone else, which I want to call out here. It's Brad Frost, who wrote Atomic Design. He's done it in the exact same way. He used this GitHub hosting with GitHub Pages and this with writing in Markdown files and generating this with this static site generator, this website, and people could, with issues, and directly write into the Markdown files of GitHub. But I think I have this slight weird feeling that his target group were more developers. So people, it was easier for his group to to edit things on there. So I have to figure things out still.
Sure. No, this is it's a great idea. I really like how you are approaching this, and maybe the medium of GitHub might not be the best for your users, but you will find a way. Maybe it's good to try. Google
and then also
Docs.
I try to promote it everywhere I can, but it's giving me really a hard time. Not much besides some likes happened, and that's like I don't know if it's still like, maybe I have not found the right place where those people are who are really interested into it. That's something what's kind of a challenge right now for me to actually find that sweet spot where this group lives who's really interested into contributing. Because I have people who liked it and said, wow, that's a great thing and congratulations. But I know none of them has looked into detail on it and read it or something and is likely to contribute.
Can you have Google Analytics on your GitHub?
Yeah, I can, and I probably have to do that.
You should. You know where they came from.
Basically, I've set this goal on I think last weekend it was. Yeah, last weekend. I set this goal to say, okay, I just put it out there now as it is. And since then I realized I have to put it in Google Analytics. But I got it out there. So.
Yep. So do the Google Analytics so you can see where the people came from and what are they looking at. That's I think very important. I would say that's even like the first validation of your idea. Is like, does it work? Can people find it, right? If nobody's on your website, it means like you didn't do a good job of promoting it or finding the target groups, as you said. So tell me, where did you promote these things, or how did you try to market it?
So I'm in a lot of Slack communities, design communities especially. I'm also on Spectrum chat, and I posted it there. I posted it on social media. I posted it on Slack within IBM. But there it's a little bit harder, I think. I think that the thing I'm missing is I have no analytics yet. And I cannot say if it got attention or not, because what I'm measuring right now is, did someone contribute on GitHub? And I'm not sure if that's a good thing to measure.
Yeah, I think so. These are, I would say, one of your mistakes. You should have put Google Analytics right there, because it takes literally 2 minutes or 1 minute to put it. So they would know like how it performs and where the people come from, right? Also, when I'm looking at your page, I mean, it's kind of obvious on the top of the page that you can go ahead and you can fix it and change it. But it says like if you see something worth fixing, please submit an issue. It's not really like it's like fix something. It means like it's a grammar that I need to fix. Or it's not like if you want to contribute ideas, please use the GitHub or like the Google Docs right here.
I would make it more. That's a good feedback. Yeah.
Yeah. If you give it like more like inviting to users, like hey, please do this, and if you put it on like multiple parts of a page, I mean, as annoying as it can be, you might have some like position on the page. I mean, like kind of like floating something. I'm not really thinking about your clippy kind of thing on the side and telling you all the time, hey, do you want to add something? Do you want to add something? Like not like that, but something that would remind people is like, hey, if you don't like this part or if you want to add something here, just please click here and do this.
I also thought about setting up drift. I don't know if you know it. It's like one of those things you described, which could help also to trigger some of those messages on with my face right next to it, and they can contact me also through that thing.
Sure.
Yeah, there's definitely room to improve. Like the first thing I should do when we stopped recording this podcast, include analytics there. It's really a bad mistake. So listeners, always include some kind of analytics.
Because it's super simple, and even though like some people might not really understand how to use Google Analytics, it doesn't matter. Please just include the code in your code basically, and then you're gonna figure out. I mean, maybe in the beginning you're gonna have 0 people, so there is nothing to look at, and then but later on you're gonna go there, open up one of those preset dashboards, and you're like, oh damn, I had 50 people today. Where did they come from? It's like all of them came from this one website. What's this website? You click on it, and then you see that somebody posted an article about you. Otherwise, like you would never know about it. You would have to Google your name and the book, and then you would find it somehow. But that really helps, and you can get in touch with that person who wrote that other article or blog, and like, hey, thanks for sharing your stuff on your website. Do you want to talk about how we can make this better together? So
you're totally right. That's really mind-blowing for me right now, because I'm just right now thinking, why didn't I do that? Like what was I thinking? Because normally on every other website I have some sort of analytics, sometimes multiple different included to measure things.
Maybe you were busy, but see, when I create these new projects, if it's for me or for my brother, I'm obsessed with the analytics. I would sit there, probably not sit there like in real time and check it, but I would check it like every evening, like, hey, did something happen? And when my Porsche website got so big, I was just checking this all the time. I was like, this is insane. Like how? Because I didn't have any people there, and suddenly there are so many people, and you can see where they come from, and it's like, wow. It's like now it feels like sort of I think it gives you like the satisfaction.
It's some sort of gratification.
However, that can be kind of fake sometimes, right? Because you might have people who come on the website and then they bounce within next 10 seconds, right? So you will feel like, oh, I had 15 people today, but it maybe was like that only one person was really interested in reading it. So then you look into like how much time they spend on the website, if they retweeted something or put on Facebook, and that is more like the real measuring of the success in this case. I would say.
I totally should do that. I had that same experience now. I after I've read the first draft of your like promote yourself as a designer, that's what I call it right now. Probably not the final title of your of your blog post.
We'll see.
Is that it triggered this? I should do more of this, like promote myself in different places. And then I remembered I had great photos of my last trips to the US, and I just uploaded them to Unsplash. And within the matter of hours, they resonated with the people. And that was something I've never thought of, that this is also a way of promoting me as a designer and getting my name out there and get some backlinks and stuff, especially now that it's like this one photo was downloaded in a couple of days, like 800 times or something like that. And it's like, this will be, if at least like 10% of those people reference my name on their website because they're nice people, that's actually great. Those are a lot of backlinks. Which I can I use for my online presence, and if someone Googles me, then the results will show up, and that's
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it really depends. I mean, Unsplash is probably a website where you don't have to like put stuff every day, right?
Yeah,
So it's not
you don't
like
have.
yeah, it's not like your Twitter, which is then dead for half a year. Like mine, for example, I'm really ashamed of that, but I don't really have time for it. You know, like I would say, like from my personal experience, when I've been building websites and social media for car companies back in Slovakia. I never really studied. I studied marketing, but way after I started creating websites. But my initial thinking was always like, we need to get search engine optimization, right? So like you make the website like in a way so it's easily readable by search engine. What did I say? Did I say social media optimization? I want to say search engine. You know what, SEO, right? So I build a website with having SEO in mind, and it's like, all right, so we have that. So we have websites which potentially can be on Google, and Google's gonna understand it, right? Perfect. Now that's the base of it, and like, what do we do after that? So my thinking always was like, let's get to almost every social media and use it for some time, just to spread the world out there. Like, so I would even do for those car companies back in Slovakia, I would do Facebook for them. I would do Flickr for them. Post stuff about the cars. I would create. We didn't use Twitter so much in Slovakia, so I don't use Twitter. But even I started going to like Google Plus, and like I started throwing out links everywhere. So when somebody Googles that company, it's gonna show up as the first thing because it has, it has the most
the Google domain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good thing, how you spread your word. But then you gotta think of like, all right, so I have this Google Plus, I have this and this, I have to take care of all of them. So eventually we closed some of these websites because on like pages or accounts because they were not necessary anymore. But it helped us to get on the first page. So yeah.
Also a thing I do since a long time is I switch to my real name, everything.
Sure.
Each handle, on every page, because that's, if people Google you, they will find your profiles on each of those platforms. And that's so much, like, if you Google my name, like the whole thing is full of valuable information about me.
Yeah.
And that's the state you want to get to.
Yeah.
So that's a recommendation I have for everyone. Don't use like artificial nicknames or stuff which your friends gave you. That's like actually bad for your Google results.
Yeah.
So always also for the handle, use your full name.
Yeah. I think it's more professional to use a full name. Only other use case I can see, if you have a kind of good name that you've been using for a while and you use the same thing everywhere, and you even include it in your in your CV. So when the company is looking at you, they're gonna find this is you, and if they look for this handle, they would find you everywhere under the same thing, which I think is important. But
but then you're missing the thing that they only can find you with that handle on the things where the handle exists.
Yeah.
And it's not like if they put your name into the Google search field that like they go to page 5 and there's still valuable information about you.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
See, I want to use my handle on Facebook, but they don't like my surname, so they will not let me to do that. Even for my brother, Mato Homola. It's a super bad word in Finnish. Apparently, I'm not gonna talk about it now. So we had to reach out to Facebook and some Facebook partners to make it happen. So they did it for his page because they verified that this is real name, but they wouldn't let do it. Like I can do it myself, so I had to use another handle.
What's your handle, by the way? Tell the people, tell the listeners.
No, I'm not.
Where can they find you?
This is my old handle. I'm not using it anymore. I had this.
Oh, you're not using it. Okay, then we will do it at the end. Let them wait. The good stuff comes at the end.
So definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, great stuff. Great topics we covered today.
Wow.
For how long do we record?
Wow, I don't know. For an hour. For ages. It's kind of funny because we never really talked about these things, and I really like the this kind of conversation with you.
Yeah, I did too.
Yeah, because it really makes me think. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, it always triggers something. Like I have this feeling all the time I walk away from our conversation, our calls, that I grew. Let's frame it like this. Like there's things, immediately actions I take out of these calls. That's why I like this.
Yeah.
And that's why we thought we should record it and share it with the listeners.
Yep.
There.
And see, like never really consider myself as like a social media or marketing person. But after talking about these things, I feel like I have a good opinion on how to do stuff. And I like do these kind of things for my brother and do it for myself because I'm like, yeah, it makes sense to do it. Like whatever, I'll do it because I think it makes sense. But now when we talk about it, it feels like I feel like I have a clue. So
yeah, you totally do.
Yeah.
Like you have an opinion on things where you can like use your experience working for your brother for years and have built this expertise you can now leverage and tell other people like the small things that they might miss, like my analytics link.
But
webpage.
This is funny because if we wouldn't talk about it, I wouldn't really realize. And sometimes you're like, damn, this is such a good thing to talk about, share, but you don't really have time to do it, so you're just like, nah, whatever, But then if I was looking for some other job, I mean, this would be a great thing to market, But if I haven't marketed for the last 10 years, I did something, but it's not as big. Then it's like, nobody's gonna know, and then I might forget about it. I might treat it as like whatever. I can do social media, but I'm not the best person. I don't know, whatever. It's just like
you don't have to be the best person to be great at it.
Sure, yeah.
That's my point on that. Awesome, Ondrej. I think we should wrap it up. We're almost at an hour, I think.
Wow.
So yeah, that was a long episode for the first episode.
All right.
Let's see how that goes.
All right, let's cut the whole stupid parts out of this. Okay, all right,
yeah,
thank you.
We will do. It will be cut at the end.
All right.
We said some stupid things in the middle.
Yeah.
So Ondrej, where can the people find you on the internet?
Oh, right. Interesting. You can search for my name, which is not the usual name. So if you search for handle ONDREJ HOMOLA, you're gonna find me. Where you can find me, I mean, this is kind of interesting.
Where's your main social media platform?
That's see, this is very interesting. All right, let's talk about this real quick. As much as I do social media for my brother, as much as I kind of work with social media, I don't really like to do it myself. So I'm on, like, now back on Instagram. I deleted it like 3-4 times before. And I'm not really posting on Facebook anymore. So you just have to find a way where you find me. I mean, probably Instagram is a good way, or Facebook. That's already cool.
But you're also on Twitter.
I'm also on Twitter. I'm like probably everywhere, but it's just I had this time of I just like unplugged all my social media. I was like, I'm gonna have my own life, and I don't need to like brag about it online. Don't need to tell everyone what I'm doing. And if somebody cares, then we're gonna talk about it, not right on social media. No, do Insta stories. So, it's interesting. Yeah. But yeah, what about you? I guess you have better way.
Yeah, I'm all over the place. So yeah, you find me with my first name and then my last name. So it's Sammy, SAMMY, and then my last name SCHU, and then a C, and then a KERT. Sometimes a little bit hard for the Americans.
Shuki.
That's my nickname. But I'm not findable with this on the internet. You find weird things if you Google that. So I don't recommend that. So yeah, I'm basically on every social media platform. But if you want to reach out to me, and actually, if you are listening to this right now, I ask you, please tweet at us at Ondrej Homola on Twitter if you find him, and at Sammy Schuckert on Twitter. And tell us about that you listened to this episode, and
give us some feedback. That would be great.
Yeah,
and if
that
you
would be awesome.
To it like till now, that you're amazing. I appreciate this. If you're in Austin, let's go a beer. If you're in Stuttgart, I guess meet with Sammy. And yeah. Also, my Twitter is not Ondrej Homola. It's Ondrej, and there is _ Homola because it was taken. Damn it.
Damn it.
So, yeah, just to make it complicated. All right.
Maybe with this podcast we get so famous that you can claim your real name sometimes in the future.
That'd be good.
That would be good. So, Great. Let's wrap it up,
All right.
Ondrej.
Thank you, Sammy.
It was great talking to you. Yeah, thank you. And have a nice Sunday.
Yep, thank you too. Bye.
Until next time. Bye.
Ciao.
Hello and welcome to the very first episode of Side by Side, a podcast where Ondrej and myself, Sammy, talk about side projects, life, work, and career stuff. Tune in every other week to listen to the challenges we run into with our side projects and learn along with us as we resolve these. In later episodes, we might bring on exciting guests that work on side projects in their spare time as well. Without further ado, let's jump into our very first episode ever.
All right. Wow. I'm still recording. Should I stop recording?